Good evening and welcome. You're watching Newsbreak right here on NDTV. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. We're going to get you some very disturbing story right now. A 13-year-old domestic help, now that is wrong in itself, was rescued from her employer's house in Gurugram late last evening, where she suffered horrific abuse. Horrific abuse. In fact, this was happening over the last few months. The girl is from Jharkhand, was found with wounds all over her body, adding that the officials in fact said that she has been admitted to a hospital for treatment. The girl was allegedly beaten with hot tongs and sticks by the couple. Initial investigation also suggests that the couple would starve and thrash the girl, accusing her of not working properly and stealing food. Doctors are also conducting a medical examination to ascertain if she was sexually assaulted. Now, this is not for the first time that something like this has happened. If you note, over the past few months particularly, many such incidents have come to light, and we'll play out that sequence on the screen right now. One was an incident from another urban agglomeration in Noida, where a woman was found beating up a domestic help in a lift. There you can see. And not just this, misbehaving with the guards, beating domestic help, beating them up with hot iron rods and tongs. What is wrong with people? What sort of sense of privilege is this, where many of these residents in Gurugram, Noida, Delhi and other parts of the country feel that it is their birthright to abuse their domestic help, to abuse the ancillary staff? What sort of sense of privilege is this really? Let's quickly play out this interview. My colleague Vedant spoke to the chairperson of the National Commission of Protection of Child Rights. Let's listen into what she had to say.
A horrific case of assault on a minor domestic help has come to light from Gurugram. The kind of details that are emerging are really gruesome. The child is currently admitted to a private hospital in Gurugram. To talk a little more about it, I am joined by Mr. Priyank Kanungo, chairperson of the NCPCR. Sir, सबसे पहले बताइए कि is the kind of details that are emerging as far as this case is concerned. I mean, she was hired from a placement agency, and then the couple assaulted her. The sexual harassment angle is also being probed. I mean, where is the safety of our domestic help? Particularly, it was a child, so child labor also.
जो प्लेसमेंट एजेंसीज हैं, हम कई बार कह चुके हैं कि दिल्ली एनसीआर में प्लेसमेंट एजेंसीज बिल्कुल निरंकुश हैं, ट्रैफिकिंग का हब है, ट्रैफिकिंग के अड्डे हैं और बच्चों को ट्रैफिकिंग करने वाले ट्रैफिकर्स एंड प्लेसमेंट एजेंसीज के डिस्गाइज में बहुत ही ज़्यादा इस तरीके से काम कर रहे हैं कि झारखंड से, वेस्ट बंगाल से, बिहार से बच्चों को, उत्तर प्रदेश से बच्चों को लाकर यहाँ बेच दे रहे हैं. तो ये ट्रैफिकिंग है. और जब तक स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, खासतौर पर दिल्ली की स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इन प्लेसमेंट एजेंसीज को रेगुलेट नहीं करती, तब तक हमको बहुत मुश्किल है काम करने में, खासतौर पर बच्चों को सुरक्षित और संरक्षित रखने में.
So, what sort of a sense of privilege is this, where people think that they have the license to abuse? I mean, there are certain cases where minors, children are being employed. I have with me Yogita Bayana, a women's right activist and founder of People Against Rapes in India, and Deepika Bharadwaj is an activist who has been very regularly speaking about this. Deepika, thank you so much, and thank you so much, Yogita. Ms. Bharadwaj, I want to begin with you first. These images keep coming in from various parts of the country with great amount of regularity, and yet I guess very little action follows. We don't know about the follow-up action. And then there is another case that one gets to hear. You tweeted these images yesterday, and that's what we are showing on the screen right now. Would you like to tell us about the latest in this case?
Sanket, I was informed about this case by a known of mine yesterday morning. In fact, I had to take my dad to the hospital and I was rushing towards that when I got this call. And the details that I got were heart-wrenching. Now, I did not really know what to do exactly at that time, but I immediately went and tweeted that I have got a tip about a minor girl who is being brutally assaulted by her employers in New Colony, Gurgaon. And if there is a rescue organization who can come and please help me out, find this, rescue this girl. I did not get much help over there, but I reached out to Preeti Bhardwaj Dalal. She is the former chairperson, Haryana State Commission for Women, who then put me in touch with the One Stop Sakhi Center in Gurgaon, which then actually, connected with the Gurgaon police, and this girl was rescued. What I was told when this girl was rescued was the condition that was told to me by the eyewitness. It is much, much, much worse than that. And I was told that she has been rescued, and after that, of course, the agencies took over. She was admitted to the hospital. Her medical was done. I think the exact brutality of it in this case, Sanket, is yet unknown. I would personally say that, because what we can see are the physical injuries. I'm pretty sure that this woman has this girl, this little child has a lot of internal injuries, because I personally spoke to her. I was with her in the hospital, and she told me that she was assaulted and she was beaten up almost every day. And something that I emphatically want to make a point about, since I started this case, and I'm glad that there are so many people who have come forward to help. But this help should happen whenever somebody sees something like this happening. We should not let the privileged or rich or entitled people think that they can get away with assaulting poor people like this. And like you rightly showed, there are just so many instances. This girl was being assaulted for the last 5 months. When the person who informed me called me, he saw her in blood. There was blood on her face. There was blood on her clothes. I'm sure there were a lot of people in that vicinity who had seen this happening, because this was not the first time. I wish they spoke up earlier so that this girl could have been rescued before. Even when this boy called me, he said he's very scared because everybody else is discouraging him to come forward. And I was shocked. But right now, I'm just thankful for all the agencies that have come forward, taken cognizance of this case. But let's accept that this is just one case that got highlighted.
This is a story which is wrong at so many levels, Yogita Bhayana. I mean, number one, employment of a minor. Number two, a placement agency doing this. Obviously, because they must have thought at a discounted rate or at a reduced rate, they would be able to provide, domestic help to these people. And then number three, the sense of privilege that you own this individual, that you own this minor, and then you can do whatever you want.
I'm appalled, and at the same time, thank you for raising this. This is very important to kind of highlight these kind of cases, which no channel otherwise does, because we see it day and night. We rescue girls, so we understand, and thanks to Ms. Bhardwaj, because if one sees and ignores it, it's the biggest irony. We really ignore it. No, not we per se, but any educated person, when they see it's happening in neighborhood, they tend to ignore it. They don't report it also. The least they can do is to kind of at least make a 100-number call and try to help, these kind of girls. I'm pretty sure the scars, physical scars will go, as Deepika was also mentioning, but nobody can take away the trauma she has gone through. It will take years to kind of counseling and to whatnot. And she's not the only child, there are so many minors employed. There is no watch agency. They all are paid, they're all getting government departments, committees and this and that, to commissions, to whatnot. But when it comes to monitoring, there is no as such agency. And I've been pushing this for a very long time, where then we need to have checks and balances. We need to supervise, monitor, even if need be there, go knock the door, check how they are treating their, domestic help, even if they are not minors, because minors are any which ways illegal to employ. Rescue them. She's a clear-cut case of trafficking. Because first of all, she's not supposed to be employed, and I'm sure she must not have got even single rupee as a salary.
You're right, Yogita. She told me.
What did she say, Deepika?
Sanket, this little baby told me that she was not given even 10 rupees. This is her exact statement to me, कि दीदी मुझे 10 रुपया भी नहीं दिया. And mind you, Sanket, these are people placed at very high levels in corporates. Both the husband and the wife, Manish Khattar and Kamaljeet Kaur, they are both employed at a very senior position in corporates, and they are not some illiterates, and they did not pay her for 5 months. I don't know how can somebody behave like this so inhumanly.
Can you tell us, Deepika Bharadwaj, as we end this this broadcast, what can minors like her do in a situation
Even I would
like
to
this?
say.
Sure. I'll come to you.
Sir.
Deepika Bharadwaj.
Sanket, to be very honest, I'm not a subject matter expert, but like Yogita was telling, these minors, we must understand that they are mentally subdued. They're not allowed to speak up. They're sort of made to believe that they are here, they are being done some favor, that they are being employed over here because their parents are being sent money. Most of the times they are misguided. They have no idea if there is any money being paid to their parents or not. So it's very difficult for these minors to speak up. And this girl that I've met, I've been meeting her for the last 2 days. She's hardly able to speak, but once we showed her some love, she opened up and she shared what she was going through. Obviously, earlier, there was nobody who even asked her what she is going through. So it's tough for these minors to speak up, but I think it's more on the society to see what's happening around us and raise a voice.
Absolutely,
right.
Sanket.
Yogita Bhayana, your response.
To
I mean,
add
how
to
can
what she
various organizations, for instance, a minor girl or many of these agencies, maid placement agencies, what needs to be done? First
Okay,
of all,
2 points.
why can't this be regulated to begin with?
Absolutely. So 2 points. As citizens, least we can do is report if you see any minor employed. Even when I saw it in my very dear friend's homemaid was domestic, I mean, she was a minor, I reported. I mean, you cannot ignore this. You have to boycott such people. You have to report it to the police. Number 2, as civil societies, we are trying our best. Hats off to Deepika for raising it, taking her to the hospital, taking extra pain and whatever she has done. And as government, they need to have very strict watchdog policy. They need to kind of do some kind of monitoring. Even if they have to barge into the houses, check like it happens in abroad. You know, it's we are discussing humans here, how they treat the minors, and she must, I'm pretty sure that the kind of nexus, the conditioning they do to such minors, her own parents must have sold her 90% of the time. This is the fact that she knows that she's been sold by her own parents. She can't go back to the village. She needs to suffer, and they learn to suffer. They want to suffer because they have no choice. So I think government need to pitch in here, and we need to do a lot. Can't be telling you in such a short notice.
There's this very quick point that I really wish to add, especially looking at the visuals that you started this show with, Sanket.
Yeah.
We need to be very neutral in our approach towards tackling criminals. Whether it's a man or a woman, if somebody is abusing, torturing someone, we should not let them go away. Yesterday, this woman who assaulted this girl was crying hold of being a mother, being a woman. I strongly have to say this, that our agencies, our courts, our police should not let go criminals away, whether that's a man or a woman.
A criminal is a criminal. Don't judge them by gender. It's very, very clear. If you have assaulted, then you will have to face the music, because the law does not distinguish. Thank you very much, Deepika Bharadwaj as well as Yogita Bhayana, for joining us.